Guys, how you
Good
doing?
evening.
Oh, we're so looking forward to tonight.
Oh.
This is going to be just a ad lib. Let's just take as much as we like. That is.
Let's
let my hair down.
Start at the beginning. Okay, so
Yeah.
Brendan, what are you drinking first of all?
Oh, tonight I'm on start with a Sauv Blanc Marlborough. We've talked about this before.
Very good.
I have to follow on going with the cheese, a Merlot, a little Louis Philippe Edwards Merlot to follow on. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
And so we'll follow on with that. Oh, and he's managed to get his reflective specs on.
I feel like a man from Jamiroquai. These are actually tiny.
Yeah.
They're tiny, so I actually don't really fit in my head at all. But actually, they look like a normal size on the screen. I'm wearing these because I lost my Ray-Bans. Second pair gone in a matter of months.
What are you like with losing Ray-Bans?
Expensive.
The other pair I had, I put them on top of the roof, and I pulled out of a multi-story with 2 floors car park, and I heard them skate off the roof at the roundabout by the shopping centre. I picked the kids up from crash, and I heard them go, "Oh no, my Ray-Bans!" And I had to go down to the next roundabout, turn around, came back, and they were gone. Just gone. Nobody else around. It's not like somebody put them in their pockets. I looked everywhere. The kids are screaming in the car. I spent about 5-10 minutes looking for them. And last week, I left them somewhere. I was doing a bit of shopping, and I left them somewhere, and I couldn't find them. So 2 pairs in about 2 months. That's just way too expensive. I can't be doing that.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah.
And what are you drinking? Brady, what are you drinking? I'm
just drinking a very fruity IPA. I swore I wasn't going to drink tonight because we were out on Sunday night, and I woke up feeling quite bad on Monday. Must have been the shrimp. But and I said, right, that's it. That never again. And then
never going to drink again.
Yeah. So it's delicious. It's awesome. One of those is enough for that. One fruity IPA for me. One fruity kind of beer type stuff. 1, maybe 2. Then that's about it. I want to drink a lighter beer then. And I have a lighter beer next.
So I was thinking you were going to blame the shrimp, but actually Nick said that it was because of this stuff.
Shot some shit up. Yeah, that is a strange name for a product.
That'll change your life.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, right, guys. Here's
what are you drinking?
I'm on the Rattler.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
Which is a Cornish scrumpy cider. Okay, and
It's got the same name as a lemonade beer in Australia. It's called Rattler, and it's a lemonade beer. It's delicious. It's very refreshing.
This is because the apples are actually called Rattler, and they've just taken the name of the cider from there. So there we go.
Interesting. Very nice.
I don't normally drink cider.
You're really confusing people by having an adder on the bottle of a cider bottle called Rattler. Is that just?
Don't ask me, mate. I only drink it.
Yeah.
And this evening, I'm in theme with my garland.
Lovely.
And my shirt, which I picked up 35 years ago at college, and it was made in Honolulu. I hasten to add, yes. So I hope everybody enjoying the shirts.
Yeah, mine's got palm trees on it, not that people can see. I've got a risque button open because it's too small for me. I must have shrunk in the time it's been hanging up in the wardrobe for years. And so I'm afraid if I go any tighter, it'll open like it's speaking. I don't want that to happen, so it'll have to be a bit risque tonight.
They always shrink.
They always shrink.
Don't stand up because your butt. Don't stand up. You might just pop it open. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, buttons flying everywhere off my new Mac. But any news, guys? What have you been doing? Seems we haven't really got a team for tonight. What's been going on for the last?
Okay, we just a couple of weeks ago, we're surrounded by ash trees, and which is really lovely, but a number of them are tall enough to land on the house if they fell over. And there's a thing called ash dieback disease.
Oh yeah,
and they've all got it, and so they're all liable to fall over. Apparently, the government has set aside 15 million quid to take down all these ash trees all around the country so that they don't land on anybody. And so we had this one taken down, and so we've currently got 70 tons of ash lying in the field right next to us. And so so there you go. Well, which is just as well with the price.
Did you know what I discovered about this? So ash dieback is a fungal disease, of ash trees. And there was a lot of talk about this, and I was thinking this is devastating. But actually, it's all about how good the immune system is of your tree. And actually what I've discovered is if you cut them back hard, so you do a hard prune of all of the dying material, and even actually pollard large trees like that. So what that means is cut the crown off it, okay? And effectively you destroy, so you burn or get rid of the top. You've got to do it specifically. You can't just sort of take it down the tip, because obviously spreading the fungus around. But you burn all of the leaves and everything. But actually you put all of the immune system of the tree concentrated back into the trunk. And then it sprouts back, and it comes back in a glorious crown with no further ash dieback. And I've done this on about 10 ash trees in the farmland so far. And so it's worth thinking about. If you've got trees that you really don't want to lose, do a really hard prune. Ideally in the autumn time, but you just need to take all of that dead wood off, get rid of all of that fungal spores and everything else, and actually then just let it regrow. And some really healthy trees come back after that.
That's interesting. Someone said Dutch elm disease. Yeah, Dutch elm disease was a huge one as well. That went through everywhere. And we had 2 huge Victorian plum trees at the back garden in our old house. Like huge amount of fruit would come off it. And then like one year, this fungal disease just swept through it, and it just killed them. And within a couple of years, they were this withered old things. You had to chop them down. It's amazing how quick they can run through it. I don't know how any trees survive. How do some? They need to propagate the ones that don't pick up the fungal disease, don't they?
Yeah, I guess.
That was my
would
thinking.
They be immune? Would your trees be immune, or they just had a lease of life and they might just battle through it anyway?
Well, this is the question, and actually, if they are immune because they're not getting consequential disease again, then that's what we want to engender. If we don't want to lose all of our ash trees, we want to try and keep the ash that can survive this disease. You don't want to keep felling everything so you've got nothing left. So I definitely would think that. And actually, do you know there is some grounds also for using homeopathy in plants? And so it's really interesting. So all of this stuff about it's the placebo effect.
I saw some experiments on plant growth with it actually online on YouTube.
So there's lots of stuff about effectively making potencies of the disease material
of the fungus.
And actually
spraying
giving that back to those trees.
Wow.
So
agri-homeopathy.
Lots of interesting stuff out there.
Interesting. Well, listen, guys, you've got to forgive me. I'm going to take this off because it's really itchy.
Yeah, it's not real. I can't wear those things.
He's allergic. He's allergic to those flowers.
No flowers were killed in the making of this garland.
And
I can't see it. I can't see a thing with those on, so I'm going to go back to the.
Right, stop there, because we're getting worried now. You're going to start stripping off, and the girls are getting rather encouraged. So
Leslie was saying, "Are shades obligatory?" They are, Leslie. We said it last week. You must be shades and drinking something, from water to beer, whatever you like. Karen's probably on gin. There's Karen Reid.
There she is.
There was, what else happened, Nick? Anything happened in the last week? Work-wise, anything going on?
Let's see.
Did you say you'd seen another paper eulogizing about raw and the benefits of?
Yeah, I'm dying to talk about it. That's why.
Was that you, Conor?
Feigning interest in your weeks.
I thought. I don't really care what you've read or done or seen.
Get on with it.
It's all about you.
I don't have the specifics of the good news story. I wanted to start with the annoying news story first of all. There was a piece came out there a few months ago. I'm just calling it up here so I can be on track. A piece came out a few months ago, and it was from the University of Bristol, where they found some antibiotic-resistant E. coli in the feces of some raw-fed dogs. Okay, this is what the paper was alluding to, and they found cases of food poisoning with this antibiotic-resistant bacteria within 50 kilometers of that dog, and concluded raw dog food is a link to these issues. Okay, so even the word link is really important, because link means they found a link. So if you're going to take stool samples from the dog, you want to take samples of the dog food in where the person got poisoned. You want to test the raw dog food they were eating, or the pet food. So anyway, there was many holes in this small survey. Okay, so it wasn't a very fantastically useful study. It's down the bottom of useful, these surveys. Surveys are what you use when you want to get a study out there. If you're producing, say, vegan pet food, and you interview 100 vegans, and they all think, yeah, my dog's great on pet food, and then they release it. That made it to the front page of the Veterinary Times there a couple of weeks ago, that latest survey. But not to bring it down on it, but I just find it a little bit annoying that the white coat vets out there, the famous vets that are paid to speak on behalf of the dry food industry, they like to highlight the nasty. There it is there, look. Based on a survey of 100 vegan.
I haven't even bothered to read it.
100 dogs. 1,000 people in the survey, 900 of them fed meat-based dry food, that's cereal-based with a cow's toenail, and the other 100 were vegans. And it was a survey of them, and they thought, yeah, the dogs are living longer. Whoa, what? Front page of the Vet Times. So how disastrous is that? So anyway, this Bristol, I just want to draw everyone's attention to a great put down of that paper by Susan Tixton. And she did it from the Truth About Pet Food website that is hers. If you haven't read her website, guys, it's well worth a cup of tea and a browse. But she highlighted some major issues with this Bristol E. coli study. And here, listen to these points that she found, okay? Of the 108 dogs who tested positive for this antibiotic-resistant E. coli, only 32 of them consumed raw pet food. So 76 dogs, that's exactly 70% of cases, that tested positive for this E. coli weren't eating raw dog food. And the paper was all about the threat of raw dog food and E. coli.
Yeah.
And
brilliant.
30% of the dogs were eating raw dog, and the other 70% were. What were the other 70% eating? Don't know. It doesn't matter. The fact was the tiny portion was eating raw dog food, and that's a threat. So assuming that dry pet food is the dominant feeding force in the States or in the UK and the States, like, why wouldn't that be investigated, you know? So that was the first thing I thought, wow, 70% of dogs weren't raw fed, and yet they weren't picked up as an issue for these. Can't wait for the next paper. Can't wait for the paper about dry food. That's what I'm looking forward to from the University of Bristol. Good luck waiting for that. And the second point she said, she asked, the survey went into asking people, did the dog walk on farmland? And they found that, you know, well over 50%, 142 of the 223 were walking on farmland. 69 of the 142 tested positive for antibiotic-resistant bacteria. No surprise, because of the way we're rearing our animals and, you know, that kind of stuff. And so farmland, big source of it. But the authors didn't ask if any of the dogs that were testing positive, that were pooing out antibiotic-resistant bacteria that were raw fed, didn't ask if they were living near farms, on farms. Do they walk on farms? Perhaps all of these dogs were walking on farms. But they didn't correlate
the local river near the sewage outlet.
Didn't ask. So they asked the question. This is how many dogs were living on farms, and farms is a top source of E. coli. But the dogs were eating raw dog food, left them on their own. They didn't involve any of the other factors that could be going on. These are major holes. These aren't small little things like. And then the last thing, they used the word evidence, and all the veterinary industry magazines used the word linked, raw dog food linked to this. But they didn't link it because they didn't actually find raw dog food with this E. coli in the fridge of the person with this disease. It was in a 50-kilometer radius of the dog. And it's like, bloody hell. I mean, the meat in your fridge is a bigger risk than a dog 50 kilometers. I mean, it was so appalling that anyway, that was the negative study that all the white coat people like to share around. And within 2 days of that, out comes a really good news study that says fresh food consumption increases microbiome diversity and promotes changes in bacteria composition on the skin of pet dogs. And there was some good things about raw feeding and bad things about kibble in that study. And not a single one of these white coat people share it. And they are actually testing the feces and testing the biome. It's not a survey. This is where you're actually testing the thing. These studies are more valuable in the pyramid of valuable science. And yet all these people that are so slaves to evidence-based science, they didn't even bring it up. They don't even say, fair dues, that's interesting. Fair dues, the one on atopy and histamine in the skin and all this other stuff. So I thought, what a terrible juxtaposition. You know, a crappy study, they're happy to talk about a survey. And then the next time a study, check out what we found. And it's just nothing, you know. So that's what wound me up this week, guys. There you go.
It's just blatant bias, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to really undo everybody's evening. And I'm going to say, hang on.
He's going to do a book. Guys, I'm going to do a book. Right, between the two of you, I'm going to let you do your book in a moment, Nick. But between the two of you, go on. All of the guys that are watching tonight know that when we want a party, what you're going to expect is a rant from Conor and a book from Nick. I mean, it's just like, what's going on?
That's what makes me happy.
Yeah. Think yourselves, listen, think yourselves lucky. I could give you 2 books. I could give you 2, but I'm just giving you one.
Go on, what's the book? Go on, what's the book?
I'm just reading this at the moment. Okay. On Eating Meat by an Australian author, Matthew Evans. And I read his last one was on soil, which is which is unbelievably fantastic. And you guys would really, really love it. You know, if your soil's wrong, your planet's wrong, everything is wrong. But so I thought this guy is so good. He's so on the ball. I'll try his on eating meat. And he's talking about eating meat and the planet and everything. So he is quoting at the moment, talking about antibiotics with animals, and he said, yeah, okay, if you've got CAFO meat, chickens or pigs or cattle, then you're going to have antibiotic resistance by definition, because they're using them as growth promoters and what have you. And so he says an awful lot about that. But two studies that really, really stand out is, and this is pertinent to the paper that you were just talking about, Conor, because it talks about antibiotic resistance. Okay, so they've done a study of workers in intensive cattle, intensive pig farms, right? And 64% of the workers have got MRSA in their noses. Okay, they're not banning them anytime soon. So that's again to show the bias of science. Okay, and the other one, you'll get this. This is a fantastic study. So this came out of Johns Hopkins Study Center, and what they did is the scientists followed trucks going down the road, taking animals probably from the farm to slaughter, okay, but just being transported, and they were in a car behind the truck transporting these pigs. And they then measured the surfaces on top of cans, Coke cans, and surfaces within the car, and they found resistant bacteria from the animals in the truck up ahead. They were going along behind. The windows were down. And the reason that they were doing it from a car behind, which is kind of a very strange way to test animals, it's because they weren't allowed in the intensive farming units, because they didn't want to show the crappy environment in which these poor animals are being raised. So they thought, right, we'll just drive along behind and sample the air.
Oh, that's nuts. Was it British or American?
It was an American paper, but it's similar in Europe, the guy says. And the other thing was 250 meters away from one of these CAFO pig operations, you can still find MRSA in the air, not on surfaces. You can find it in the air. So you just walk past and off you go.
That's crazy.
Can you imagine? So if we were to talk about this and the sort of minimal risk people that are out there that think that there should be zero risk in the world, and you start to talk about that, how apoplectic they'll be, that, you know, the fact that there might be a risk from walking in the countryside because of these intensive units that are around.
That is just beggars belief. That is crazy. People are talking about the menopause. It's really hot here, guys. It was 26 degrees in Ireland today. So I'm only 42 or 1 or 3. Well, that's 42, I think. But menopause.
Sally Tobin says it's called andropause.
Andropause. There you go.
Yeah, it means your testosterone is leaving for the Bahamas.
He's beyond it now. That's it. He's having his... No, I thought what you're actually saying is it's got up to 17 degrees C, and that's too warm for you in Ireland.
27. I'm going to check on my phone. I'm going to check what temperature it is, because honestly, it feels... I went for a little run there earlier. It sounds like I'm very fit, but my God, I had to stop after 15 minutes. I was just...
Oh, look, you've got people asking. They want you to flap your shirt.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, but I flapped it and I didn't feel any cooler.
Okay, so Gemma Lee Finlayson says it's 27 in Newcastle. Blimey, that's really warm. So, guys, what temperature is it with you? Michelle Bard Charden, what temperature is it with you? Also, could you tell us how you put it phonetically? 23 degrees with you. Not in West Cork, it's not. Okay, Susie says it's not very warm in
she's calling you out. She's saying it's not that warm up there.
26 degrees in Ireland, says Lynn Hobbs. Okay, this is good. Yeah, let's have a look what it is here. It's pretty warm. What? Ben, you're just sitting there chuckling like Father Christmas.
I am.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just like looking at.
Talking of
Father Ted.
bacteria.
Did you know? Sorry,
Yeah.
just have a little story about Father Ted. So once upon a time, I went to Ireland. In fact, actually, the picture that we posted on one of the streams of Pippa with a pint of Guinness was on this trip to Ireland. And we went all the way over to, there's the house that they filmed Father Ted in.
Yep.
And they actually do cream teas and afternoon teas and things like that. You have to book in and sort of go. And so we went along thinking, you've got to go. You can't go all of that way and not go to Father Ted's house. And limestone pavements all around it, everything else. It's sort of like, it's really nice. It sort of reminds me a little bit of Yorkshire in that sense. We go into this house and we actually start talking to the lady who owns the house and runs the cream teas and everything. And she's actually really into holistic medicine.
Wow.
She really loves holistic medicine. And what does she have? She has a little Labrador, with her, a little Labrador puppy that's got a dressing all up its leg because the local farm vet had put this dressing on because it had hurt its leg. And it was half hanging off, typically. So what do I end up doing is, usually in and out within an hour, they try and stack you in and stack you out. We end up sitting around the family farmhouse table, dressing this puppy's leg, having a chat and getting all of the cakes and tea and everything else. She was wonderful. And so that's my Father Ted story. It's it's a really nice place. If you ever want to go, absolutely call in, get your cream tea. They were excellent guests and quite a good crack.
That's good. So, I've got something from Father Ted right here, believe it or not.
I thought you were going to show me a little tiny toy cow and go.
Yeah, that's very near. That's very near.
It's very near.
But this massive spanner was part of the first machine I bought when I was a pet food manufacturer. And he came along and he had these tools that comes with these huge machines that grind up stuff and squirt it into a little. I did them in chub wrapping, with the two little clips at the end. That was the way my stuff was made. And he gives me this giant spanner. And before I bought the machine, and he goes, "That spanner was in Father Ted." So I'll have the machine. Thanks very much. And so I gave the machine on to the next person. They said, "Have you got that giant spanner that does the nut?" The back said, "Can't find it anywhere. Sorry." So they had to get it fabricated somewhere else because I wanted it on that.
Because you pinched it.
Yeah, I watched Father Ted millions of times since. I've never seen it in it, but I think your man just saw me for what I was, a gullible fool, and said something about Father Ted, and I spent 10 grand on a machine to get it. But anyway, I love Father Ted.
That's hilarious. Listen, guys, it is 90 degrees Fahrenheit in Philadelphia, USA. And Michelle Hansen is saying it's 37. I think she's got the prize. It's 35 in North Dakota.
37. Yeah, Texas.
I'd love to go to North Dakota.
Texas. Of course it's going to be hot there. They've acclimatized to that.
Yeah, easy. I was in 41, 42 in Perth. You get used to it. Well, once you get into the 40s, nobody gets used to that. But once it gets over 37, you're heated off, and so you have to go home from your work. So you're just down the beach, 38 degrees. Thanks very much. I love it. I just love the heat. Obviously when you get off the plane and you get hit with the heat, that can be quite a lot. Or you go to somewhere like Brisbane and humidity is brutal because it doesn't need to be hot then. The humidity means the sweat doesn't get off your face. And so you step out of the shower and you're just covered in sweat. I couldn't get used to that. But Perth is a desert. So it's just dry heat. It's great. It's like a sauna. It's no problem. I thought. Anyway.
Unlike, however, Gabrielle's saying currently it's -5 in Australia.
Right.
What's happened?
Gabrielle, be a good person to talk to. Gabrielle Joy is the dingo girl, I believe. Gabrielle Compton, the Compton section. Probably be a good lady to talk about dingoes.
Oh, let's get her in. Let's get her in to talk to.
Yeah.
I will just say to Elaine, I'd agree. It's quite muggy and warm, even at this time of night. 21 degrees. What's going on?
Listen, guys. Barbara Kolzowski in Phoenix, West Phoenix, Arizona. 105 degrees. I think she takes the biscuit.
That's hot.
Congratulations, Barbara.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lovely.
Yeah, but it's the heat with humidity that really does it.
It's cat. Yeah, Brisbane it's a very That's where where you go diving for the thingamajiggies, the coral reef. What's it called? What am I trying to say? What's the big barrier reef? The Great Barrier Reef.
Barrier Reef.
Yeah, went there twice. It was unbelievable. It's as good as you think it's going to be. You have to go out so far. It's like 50, 60 kilometers offshore. So you're driving for ages, going, I'm never going to be able to see the bottom. It's so far out. But then the reef pops up, and you start to see a lot of life and action. And then you pop over the side in snorkels. It's just
isn't it dying in very large quantities?
Yeah. And Australia was one of the only countries that voted against saving it. There's a thing that came at, what did the Aussie government vote on last year? It was diabolical, but they've got a huge coal export. They've mapped their economies based on mining and exporting this stuff, and coal's a huge part of it. So as much as they don't burn it themselves, they do a bit, but it's exporting it to China and whatnot. But so that was a big problem. And then, unfortunately, the Aussie government didn't go with it. And this, I can't remember what the thing was, but it was something about protecting the Great Barrier Reef. All the other countries were voting for it, and the turkeys voted for Christmas there. So it was a shameful one. But it's a sad, you think, because countries are so far ahead on almost everything, but the environmental policy stuff it's not great. But sure.
It's criminal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But great big news, guys. Forget the Barrier Reef. Brendan is on his second glass of wine. What's this you're on now, Bren?
Well, that's the Merlot.
Don't
I'm on to the Merlot.
Barrier Reef,
that's
by the way. It's important.
Very important.
You're on your Merlot.
Actually,
and talking of fermentation, as we
look at
this. Some cheese.
We've got some cheese.
I've
got some cheese questions because obviously, we had to do something to prepare tonight. So I raid the fridge. Okay. So I've got some questions for the guys out there. Okay. We're obviously in the north, so we talk about hard cheese. Okay. But I want to know, because Wensleydale's a lovely cheese, but how many people like to spoil it with fruit?
I do.
Come on, I want to know. Quick hands up if you like fruit in your cheese. Okay, what is that all about?
Lovely.
If it was cake, absolutely fine.
Cake.
Fruit, I'm not sure about that. That's why. So this is from Christmas, obviously, because it's got cranberries in. Okay, but note it's still in its wax. It's never come out.
Oh my God, I'd eat that. I'd eat that by itself.
I'll tell you what's really fantastic
about cheese
on,
knives. Why do they make them blunt? Is that because by the time you get round to the cheese course, you might have had one too many, and you're at risk of stabbing people?
Kill yourself.
Nobody ever does. It's so ridiculous when someone has their cheese board out at Christmas time. It's just like tiny little fork that I'm not allowed to eat off, and a stupid little knife. It's like, what's the point? I don't get it at all. Anyway.
So the other thing is, do you have pickles with your cheese?
No.
Yeah.
You see, So look, I've got to say a big shout out to Rick Stein. Okay, we went to visit Rick Stein last week. Okay, he makes a very nice piccalilli. But have you come across? This is something. So this is a farm shop near us. Okay, Keelam. You've got to have beetroot chutney.
Beetroot chutney.
How to ruin a cheese by Brendan. Step 1. Beetroot chutney out. Beetroot chutney. No way, lads. I'm not eating vegetables with my cheese. That's the punishment. What did I do? I ate my dinner. I want to have something nice and tasty. Bloody vegetables. No.
But so more seriously, okay, because obviously I'm holding a knife. I've got a question for you, Conor. What do you think about blue cheese? If we're so worried about mycotoxins, okay, what do we think about blue cheese? Because
I don't want to know.
I'll tell you what, it's the thing that I just cannot stand. So
Brendan, seriously,
cheese with
do you remember
mold?
Nick when we were away there the last trip in the restaurant? Brendan would need blue cheese, and we stuffed it into us.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you one of my favorite things is apple. You get an apple, you quarter it, you take the pips out. Yeah. My dad used to do this, so it makes me think of him. You take the pips out, and then you get Roquefort, really salty, really wet, really delicious blue cheese. Brendan, you'd have a fit. And you have it with a Cox. Cox is orange pippin. The kind of thing you get at Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Now that is about as good as it gets.
That's what you want. Yeah. I wonder what someone's going to say about that blue cheese. The blue cheese question.
Yeah.
Oh, Carol.
I'm assuming.
That's so sad.
So the blue cheese is a type of fungus, all right. But why? Why surely not mycotoxins? Because I know that the hue on bad peanuts on the outside shell, when they start to turn green or blue, either one of those two is really nasty. So when you leave birdseed out and they start to get that hue on it, you don't want your dogs eating that really old birdseed because that's mycotoxins on the outside of that. So that's what it looks like. And I know bad wheat and bad corn turns blue, and I'm talking about blue cheese. And I was like, oh God, I hope it's not. Can somebody Google that, because I've got too many devices in front of me. It's too awkward to Google. I really hope that's not true.
You can't see a thing. Everything's gone dark. You can't work out why those screens are so dark.
Here, look, this is the.
It reminds me, actually. Now, Stevie Wonder, eat your heart out. Here's Conor.
God, Stevie Wonder is the greatest, isn't he? Oh my God, what an absolute legend! Here's the top of Google's answer for this. Blue cheese is made using a type of mold called penicillin, which is responsible for its distinct taste, smell, and appearance. Unlike other types of mold, M-O-L-D, the types of penicillin used to produce blue cheese do not produce mycotoxins and are generally considered safe to consume. Now is there molds in green cheese?
See, there's lots of sick faces on here.
Oh my
Wow,
God,
I'm amazed. I'm amazed that people, and tell me, guys who are watching, is it the look of it or is it the taste of it? Because as far as I'm concerned, it tastes fantastic. And in fact, it just tastes salty, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Off it. It's a nice stink off it. Mm. Oh. What about those mackerel guys? You know, we should do some sort of competition, right? Where between now and Christmas, and whoever loses has to open one of those and try and eat one of those fermented fish things from Scandinavia. Have you seen that? The tins of fermented fish. Oh, lads, just check out the YouTube. Just type into YouTube.
No, I've seen that.
People try to eat fermented fish.
No,
it's a delicacy.
We're not going to Finland. We're not going to open that tin and go, stinky fish.
Like rotten fish in a tin, and it's a delicacy for Cameron. I think it's a Norwegian product, but there's many videos of people doing paper rock scissors and losing, and then trying to eat this rotten fish. I mean, rotten fish. How do people even?
That's really we're going to do a dog risk one year. We're going to do a live from dog risk.
Yeah, and I'll probably
do the fermented foods.
Yeah.
Okay, in Indonesia, there's a fish sauce, which is basically they get a load of fish and let it just sit and rot and distill off the juice, and they then add that, and it, you know what, it tastes amazing. It gives a depth. And it kind of loses its fishiness. You can always tell that it is fishy, but it's just got, depth. And did you know that in Leon Perrin's Worcester sauce there is fermented, rotted anchovies? Did you know that?
No way.
Conor?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know.
Did you know? Check that. Have some in the south of Spain, there is a whole area that has been found to contain the jars from Roman times where they used to create that rotten fish sauce, like soy sauce.
No way.
So cool. That's how far back that stuff goes, fermenting rotten fish.
I have another one about jars. Did you see in recently in the last few years they found that a lot of the jars in Greece that they were digging up contained remnants of LSD type compounds? Did you see that?
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and a whole program has.
Now he's talking party.
And a whole program. It didn't take long. Drugs. Another thing about drugs. Another reason drugs are great is that's just going to be clipped out now, and it's going to be a 5-second GIF. Conor talking about drugs after one beer. But this stuff, I can't remember what it was, but it was a type of mushroom based kind of and they reckon so Stanford now has a whole program. I think it's Stanford. It's one of the top 3, but I think it's Stanford has a whole program now studying the use of these things in older societies, and they reckon it played a huge part in democracy and stuff, because they reckon that they were taking these things to kind of see things from other people's points of view and get insight into things and that kind of stuff. And Stanford are on board, and Trinity College here, while we're talking about mushrooms, Trinity College here in Dublin has 2, 3, maybe 4 psychiatrists that are working with psilocybin for mushrooms as well, because they can use use it really well to get people. What it does is, what psilocybin does is it turns off the central bit of your head, so all your thoughts go into the central bit for processing, and out comes your answer. All your ideas, I see a situation, all my ideas come central bit, because you're used to seeing this, and this is what you think, Conor. And all mushrooms does is they're not a stimulant or anything. They just turn off that central processor, and it means your thoughts can just come to the front. So if you've got agoraphobia and you're used to responding in a certain way, like they could just cure agoraphobia just like that. They're working with alcoholics. They're working with all sorts of mental health issues. Really, really effective. It's just that the hippies got their hands on it in the 60s and kind of went to get bananas.
Yeah, depression. They're treating depression and PTSD, aren't they? With microdosing with psilocybin.
Really
and Michael Pollan, if anybody's interested, Michael, and I haven't read this yet, so I'm not gonna hit you with it. It's How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan, Pollan. The other guy to listen to on this is Tim Ferriss, who is an American, an amazing, prodigious American podcaster, and he does a lot of work. He's put a lot of money actually into microdosing because he's very open that he's had some major depression episodes. So good man that he is. He's doing some great work there.
And just if you're wondering, so it's also on a whole series of that book, Nick, on Netflix.
Awesome.
Okay.
Love it.
On Michael Pollan. So, if any of you guys not sure about wanting another book, because Nick's just there.
Sorry, guys.
Being intellectual all of a sudden.
Indeed.
There is the wonderful, and that goes through all sorts of things from LSD, microdosing through psilocybin, all of the drugs that they revisit as to what the research was behind them.
They found that the two oldest people that they've found, one guy that flopped out of a glacier and some other guy dug up in Ireland there, I think it was, the Bronze Age man. Have you seen him? Like, just so perfectly preserved. He's got long brown mane of hair and got his brass bangles on or whatever metal was around the time. But both of these guys had mushrooms with them. So one guy that came out of the glacier had a pouch, and there was a medicinal mushroom in it, and there was a mushroom for getting high in. That was in this pouch on him, and the Bronze Age man had it in his stomach. Isn't that mad? So it's like this has been used. I just find the subject fascinating. It's like, why do these things exist? Animals don't eat them. So cows, sheep, they avoid these things growing in the ground. So why are they there? Because plants don't just give off these things for no reason. They don't just suddenly evolve this compound unless it's been used by somebody for something. And yet sheep aren't going around stoned out of their brains, or cows and stuff. They tend to avoid these patches of stuff, which is interesting, I thought. Deer don't eat them either. Deer eat some mushrooms, but they don't eat the funny little ones. But anyway, there you go. That's as much as I know at the moment.
There's one line of thought there's a guy called Paul Stamets, who's basically the Pope. He is the godfather of using fungi used for cleaning up radioactive waste and amazing, and plastics and stuff like that. Paul Stamets, unbelievable guy, and he is really leading the field here. But just to say, Sasha Elias here, stop the press. Having is amazing. Sounds like she's had it. So I don't know, Sasha, you have to enlighten us. I'm no longer phobic of clowns post having is. So A, what's it like? And B, what's it like having a phobia of clowns? It's not an unusual one, actually, is it? Having.
Not after
I
it.
think having it, I think.
It scared the pants off me. My God. I watched that. Like, that came out in 86. I think 87. I had to watch it with my brothers, and I was like, I've got four
original
brothers.
One. Yeah.
But Terminator came out a year later, and I was just like, Terminator was 85, I think. 86 as well. That was a terrible couple of years for me. Chucky, Child's Play, those 3 or 4 movies ruined me, because I just assumed this. I used to have nightmares about Terminator for like a year or two. I just assumed this is the way things were going, and we are doomed. But yeah, it was so scary. It was such a scary movie. My God. Yeah, clowns are a tough one. I don't like them. Nobody. What's a Havonin, by the way? Did I miss that? What's Sasha saying about a Havonin? What's a Havonin?
Yeah, Sasha, do share.
Yeah.
Oh, Karen Reid is scared of clowns as well, by her own definition. I'm not sharing anything that she wouldn't want. What is it about clowns? That's amazing.
Oh yeah,
she's also thinking that of Chucky.
Yeah, Chucky, the original, the first one and the second one. Oh my God, I didn't. My dolls are coming alive now. I can't even lie in my bedroom and relax. It's just, oh my God.
You know what? the worst a movie I've ever seen was something like Poltergeist. That's the or one of those. That's it. I never ever watch horror movies. My standard line is, life is horrific enough. Why would you want to watch?
Oh, I love a good scare. Yeah. Oh, I love a good one. There's a lot of bad ones, and they're crap, and there's no point. The most recent good one that I've seen is Drag Me to Hell. I don't know if anybody's seen that. Drag Me to Hell is good because Sam Raimi did it, and Sam Raimi's a legend, and he just does this over the top, ridiculous gore. Like she'd be like she'll see this monster, and she'll be screaming, and he'll just squish his face, and his eye would pop into her mouth. Like it's proper ridiculous kind of gore. But Drag Me to Hell is done by his famous enough one. I thought that was very good.
It's hideous. It's hideous.
What? There we go. Look, we're being likened to clowns now. This is where it goes.
Look at that. That was a long post there. What was that one about?
Oh, that's happening. It's all about happening. Oh, there you go. Somebody's posting from Wikipedia. That's good for us, you see. Oh, thanks, you guys. You are so brilliant at just calling up information for everybody. It's more than we could do while we're live. Anyway,
I'll tell you what we should do one day is we should just sit here and think of stuff, and all the guys can go running around and do all
the pretties
for us.
Do all the research.
yeah. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing?
Right. Are you ready, guys? On Google. Right. 1, 2, 3.
Yes. Why is the sky blue?
With a sensible, yes.
How do they make Maltesers so perfectly round with chocolate and there's no flat bit to it? Think about it. All that perfect thing has chocolate all the way around it, perfect depth all the way around.
Because they have a special leprechaun that polishes the.
It has to be leprechaun. It has to be surely leprechaun related because it doesn't hover in the air dry. It has to rest at some stage, and when it rests, the chocolate seeps down, and you get a flat bit. See, now you're thinking, aren't you?
Okay, here you go. For round things, do you know that in the old days, that in order to make lead shot that they used to put in old muskets, in order to make those, this is ridiculous, but it's to do with round things. They used to build really, really tall towers, and they would just drop molten lead from the top of the tower. And then I think they drop it into water so that by the time it got to the water, it will have hardened enough such that it retained its spherical nature.
What?
How cool is that?
So
how cool is that?
Surely. Yes, exactly. Would it not be a raindrop shape?
Yeah, I don't know about
because
that.
It's lead. It's lead, and I think just it's
mercurial.
What would you call it? The attraction of it to itself would be greater than than gravity, because it would in extreme situations, I think, and I'm just talking out of my backside here, but I think that it's so dense that it just stays around. I'll find the reference for
Sally
you.
Tobin. Okay. Sally Tobin says shot towers. I mean, if that's the name of them, I'm.
Thank you, Sally.
I should just say 2 words. Which she's not agreeing with you. She could just be drunk. Hang on there.
Sally, I'll get you a rattler next time I see you. Shot towers. There you go. That's it. I don't make this stuff up, guys. Okay. Other things.
Yeah. Look, shot towers is a tower designed for the production of small diameter shot balls by free fall of molten lead, which is then caught in a water basin. Oh, that sounds like it would be easy to make.
Guys.
So he's a star. Look at that. Information you'd never expect from a holistic and nutritional
Indeed.
Anyway.
Diane, owe you a little rattler as well.
Look at Diane is coming up with the goods. This is the second time Diane is
on fire.
Look at that. There's a perfectly, if anybody wants to get into shot and balls, Diane's got your answers. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so 1945, guys. Oh, shall I tell you a joke? I think I've told you this one before.
Oh God!
Shall I? Do you want a joke? Should we finish on a joke?
Go for it. Yeah.
These 2 old fellas in an old people's home, right? And one says to the other, "I say, Ted, when was the last time you had sex?" And the first guy says, "Whoa, gosh, I would say probably 1946, old boy." And he says, "Oh my goodness, that's a long time ago." He says, No, it's only 1954.
Nice.
I think I've said that one before,
Yeah,
actually.
I think you said that at the Christmas party, Nick. But you
That's why I've forgotten it.
as you are now. Yeah,
it's 6 months on. We were going to talk about cognitive dysfunction tonight, and now we've just seen it.
Here we are.
What's your favorite cheese, Bren?
Oh, my favorite cheese. Actually, do you know what? I love a really tasty, crumbly Lancashire, and that is really hard for me to admit when I'm from Yorkshire.
Ooh,
but
yes.
a lovely, crumbly Lancashire is probably the number one. What's yours?
I actually know the name, but it's called I think it's called Delice de Bourdon. We've got this kind of French cheese. The Sheridan's, this cheese company's called in Ireland, and they're kind of famous, and they come up with these cool cheeses, and it's like a really strong, soft brie, very strong, soft brie, somewhere close to a kind of a camembert. I like that. I like a bang of cheese, so I like my cheese to be strong. On a cracker with a big lump of fruit, with a piece of apple or something. That's my favorite, and I will do enormous damage to myself. I'll eat a whole wheel of brie if I'm left alone with it, and wake up crying in the morning because you're still. But I'll go through a pack of
crackers. It's dreamt of clowns. That's what you do when you eat too much cheese.
Yeah, it's just brutal. I just wake up with terrible heart, get indigestion from it. But I will eat a huge amount of it. There has to be a small amount of cheese when I go for it, otherwise I'm going to keep at it. And cheese is my thing, I think. But pretty much anything when you've had a couple of
beers. Me, Roquefort, a really good sheep's Roquefort, because it's like Stilton, but it is wetter and saltier, and it's very blue, and I love it.
Cracker.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah, lovely. I love that. Very nice.
Well, I'll leave you to your blue and all of the rest of it. I think camembert, I would say, or garlic, rosemary, heated in the oven, ready to dip in to that with various things to dip with. I'm not going to say breadsticks because I'm not really a breadstick kind of guy. I think there's so much else that you can use, but just that warm, gooey with the garlic and rosemary, and I can't beat it.
I can't.
There was one year I actually made, rather than just getting the little ones, we actually had an oven dish and we put one of the large rounds of camembert in there.
Oh yeah.
And bless my daughter, my eldest daughter, she loved it so much she kept eating it. Now my youngest daughter was at that time sharing a room with my eldest daughter, and she said, "Dad, never ever cook a camembert for Christmas again if I have to share a room with my sister." It's just like
Listen, fat slows down your digestion a lot. So if you eat a heap of cheese, it slows things down a lot. And if you slow things down a lot, you're going to increase fermentation and whatnot. You're going to get into more bacteria farts, aren't you? So that's isn't that what it is? Is that what cheese does it to you? I think it is anyway. So,
I'll tell you what, she had a restless night. Let's put it that way. Anyway.
Bless her.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, my mother-in-law, who is Indonesian, she can't eat smelly French soft cheese because she was not raised with it. Okay, so you present her with this beautiful a brie or a camembert or something like that, and she would run a mile. And this is the woman who makes stews out of cattle toes. Okay, she will eat anything. It's a big delicacy. Exactly, it's a delicacy in Indonesia. So it's not like they're averse to eating anything, and fish sauce and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but you give her a really good camembert and she'll run a mile.
Yeah, it's funny how people are different. Like we couldn't even get near a fish's head. I couldn't even imagine eating a fish's head, fish's eyes, fish eyes. But could you imagine starting there at the fish, picking away at the brain? Oh my God, no. God,
right.
No,
guys, so I think these guys are, judging by some of the comments, they're all looking forward to the autumn party at Dog's Risk, where we start eating fermented fish after drinking games. So
I think we should do it. I would not be. I wouldn't be able to open the tin without spewing absolutely everywhere. But if I would hope that whatever we do, one of you guys will lose and it won't be me. I've got a 1 in 3 chance. I think we should do it, guys. Just because it's nutritional. on.
Do you know
I bet
what
you'll be
we'll
able to make
be
it
having
one
to
day.
do this year, though, as I've discovered that actually, so we're all having a conference at the Raw Feeding Veterinary Society the end of September. There are some online tickets available for most of the guys, but I do understand that this year, unfortunately, it does coincide with Dogs Risk. So maybe so that we feel that we are thinking of them, that
all
actually
eat
we
rotten fish.
take to the warmth of Spain some rotten fish. Can you imagine that in the
Ooh.
hotel?
I might just order
Hotel
some.
will say. But we're going to do, I think, a production live from that conference between the three of us, because we're all going, and we're going to do a production live. I dare any one of you to bring a can of that fish.
I might.
I
do like a good dare. I do like a good dare.
I think that could be an interesting start to the cast on that weekend.
You say that, guys, but we still haven't done our moonwalk dare yet.
That was the
but that's
we
for
need
Christmas.
to do. Oh, is that for?
That's for
Okay,
Christmas.
that's for Christmas.
Yeah.
And let the people vote, and the worst moonwalk has to eat rotten fish.
Oh
That'll be funny, guys. I think we should do it, because I've always wanted to be able to moonwalk. You always have friends in a nightclub that you can moonwalk.
So who's going to buy the 4 cans of rotten fish? One for September, so that we can just show how bad it is, and then the 3, so each of us has a can just in case we lose.
I'm going to start looking around tonight, because I've had a beer now. I'm going to start buying weird things.
I'll see what we can get from the local Chinese store. See if there's anything delectable.
Well, no, it'll be some Norwegian store, won't it?
It'll be an online thing.
Swedish, or
it'll be an online thing. Yeah, I've got a couple of Norwegian friends.
if you're not careful, I can see a list of people scrolling up the right hand side of my screen that are going to be sending you
volunteering
a can of said fish.
Yeah. So, any Norwegians, Swedes, please, send it through.
Send us your rotten fish.
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Right, what are we doing next week?
What are we doing next week? Should we do behavior, or did we do that in January?
Because there are so many things that I wanted to add in tonight about bad behavior, from this whole trend that's going on feeding high carb diets to bad behavior dogs. Okay. And we were going to talk about that. And yet, we talked about so much else that we've not talked about that. And so I think next week, let's do bad behavior properly.
Oh yeah. There's a pet food company that is out calling itself similar kind of scientific names on the front of it. And it's been backed by a lot of people, a lot of behaviors getting behind it, a couple of vets as always. And, it's just diabolical. You go to the website, these words like clinically proven, and you go to their clinically proven section, and it's 2 pieces of work that they wrote themselves. It's like, this is not my definition of clinically proven, and it's based on this whole high carbohydrate serotonin. Okay, yeah, let's do that, because I'd like to talk a little bit about. I don't really understand where that all came from. It makes so little sense to me, so I'm looking forward to talking about that. Yes, good one, very good.
Okay, let's talk about that next week.
Yeah,
amazing.
Guys, wonderful as ever. Thank you for joining us on a ramble through random thoughts as we drink wine and eat cheese. And thanks to these 2 guys down here, because they're just excellent as always. Thanks, however, to all of the viewers.
All to you guys.
See your comments. All you guys. Because it's just great to see some of your interactions as ever.
That dog's got very human eyes, doesn't he? Doesn't he? Very human eyes, that dog. Was it just me? Looks like a granddad kind of looking at me. Anyway. What am I drinking? That's very strong beer.
Yeah, what are you drinking? What are you taking? He's microdosing, guys. He's microdosing.
I'm coming up. I gotta go.
Oh no, he's just brought his sunglasses out, and now.
Anyway, right, lads, that was a pleasure.
Okay, amazing.
Guys, thank you so much. Been great to see you all. Look forward to seeing you next week on Bad Behaviour.